Hello everyone and welcome back to another exciting tutorial. In this tutorial we will create a pizza website using React and TypeScript. As you can see in front of you, this is a very beginner friendly project. So don't worry, if you are new to React, you won't regret watching this. In this video we will learn how we can fetch and display the JSON data, which is this menu that coming from a JSON file. And we will also see how we can implement dynamic category filtering to sort pizza, which is this. So we can click on chicken and this will render just chicken pizzas, vegetarian pizzas, and lamb and beef pizzas, or just all pizzas. Not just that, and most importantly, we will create this UI from scratch using these style components from the React library. So you can see that how these pizzas are rendered, creating this beautiful UI. Don't worry, I will provide you with all these pictures. Just click on the link in the description to access a zip file from Google Drive, and also the JSON file link will be provided via GitHub. So one more thing to notice in this, when you click on a pizza, it will open up this pop-up. I haven't really implemented the cart functionalities, so this doesn't really do anything. That's for the next video, because this is the first part of this project in which we will just create this simple static app, and in the next video we will add cart functionality. So we will add a cart here, so all the pizzas that are getting into the cart can be ordered and place an order. So grab your favorite coding snacks, let's get started, and remember to hit that like button if you find this tutorial helpful. Let's go. So we are here in the VS Code. Now we're not gonna use npx create react app like we do in every tutorial. This time we're gonna use this tool called Vite. It's a build tool which is really fast and leaner. So we can do npm create Vite at latest. As we hit yes, you can name your project. We will name it Pizzeria, and we're gonna use React. So you use the arrow keys up and down. Let me just pull it up a little bit so you can see what's going on. So up and down key, we're gonna use React, and then it's gonna ask you what do you want to use it for. We're gonna use React with TypeScript. So already installed, we can do cd Pizzeria, and once you're in here, as you can see the instruction, you gotta do npm install to add the modulus, all the necessary dependency for the React project, and it will, I think, take a few seconds.
A few moments later,
which is really faster than using the npx create react app. That takes a little bit longer than this. This is really fast. So now that we have everything, we can use this command to run our app. So we can do npm run dev, and it doesn't just open the localhost by itself, just like npm start. So you will get this link. You can either press O or control click on this. I'll just type O in the terminal, and then it will open this. So this is how the default project looks like. This is what you get when you use Vite plus React. So we're gonna come back to the VS Code, and now this is all our default app. So we're gonna run the app again. So remember, npm run dev for Vite when you're using Vite, not npm start. If you do npm start, you will get this, because the script is not for that one. So npm run dev, and so we are back here. It has a counter, you can play around with it. What we're gonna do is we're gonna clean up this entire app and start from scratch. As usual, we're gonna go to the source. We're gonna delete this folder from here. We're gonna delete the app.css. We're gonna delete index.css. We're also gonna delete this probably. There's no much extra already here, so now we have to clean up the app. We are not using these, and it used this linter, which is really nice, and it tells you that you don't have these files, so we can remove all of the extras. We don't need the count use state here. We don't need the use state. Should be clean. Let's see. We still have in the main file, so we gotta go to the main file. We have index.css here, which is not being used since I deleted it. So let's try again. tsx, what we are missing here, app.css. Didn't I already remove that? Oh no, it's still here. Yeah, the app is clean, pretty much clean. Now we can start developing it. Now before we start coding, I want you to actually go through this list first. So first thing first, we're gonna get all the pictures that we need, all our assets and the JSON files, and we're gonna install a dependency package called style components and the font. So let's go through these steps first. So first thing first, go into the description. You will find a link to the Google Drive which says assets. When you click on it, you will redirect it to this Google Drive, and then you can double click on it or open it if you're using Windows, however it works, and then just click on download. Once you have downloaded this zip file, you open this zip file, you extract them. This will create another folder. In Windows it's probably different. So once you have this assets folder, what I will do, I'll make them as a list. We will copy and put all of this into the asset folder. So I'm going to make this small, and let's see. So I'm going to drag and drop all of these photos into the assets folder. That's done. Now we don't need this. I'm just gonna close this. So here we have the photos that we need of the pizza. I'm actually gonna drag it into the root folder. So I'm gonna bring this to the root folder. So now the assets are into the root directory. Reason I did that, because if you're gonna go to the JSON file on the GitHub, in that file the path is to the pictures are from the root directory. So you will have to, otherwise you will have to make a change, you will have to add another path here. So what you can do here, if you go to the description, you will find the link to this GitHub repo, which will take you directly to the JSON file of this. By the way, this is like the entire raw file, the GitHub file for the project, if you want to just clone the project and just start working on it. So here is the JSON file. I'm gonna click on this, copy raw file, or if you want to, you can just simply do this. Either way it works. So I'm gonna come back here, and inside the root directory I'm going to create a new file, and I will name it as menu.json. So new file, menu.json, and then I will paste this data here. So once I do that, now this is accessing the pictures from here. If we move this to source folder, then you will have to add another directory. You have to change the root of this. So we're gonna leave it as it is. So this is our data. Now we have the data sorted, we have the pictures sorted. The next thing we're gonna do is add the style components and get the Google fonts. So first thing, let's get the Google fonts. I said fonts are, so Google fonts, which are Roboto and Poppins. So those are the fonts that we have used. So let's say Google fonts. I may already be using some fonts here from the previous project, so let's remove them. So let's search for Roboto, and we will get 400 regular, and Poppins we will get about 300 light. And then you click on this one, you can copy it as a link. You can just copy this, make sure it's on the link, not on import. Just copy the link element, and then inside your project, if you go to your public, actually in this case we will go in index.html, and you can add that link below this. You can just simply paste it here. Now that will have access to that, so we can later on use these fonts in our code. So let's copy these two. For now, what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna, let's say, use it in the app.tsx somewhere. I'll just comment it out here, both of them. So that's done. Now we are ready to install the style component. So splitting the new terminal because we are running the app on the first one. Let's go ahead and npm install styled components. To check whether the style components has been installed, go to your package.json file and you check that, yeah, has been installed. So that's it with this one. The next step we're gonna do is we're gonna start creating our component. So we're gonna have a component with menu that renders the data, and the other components that we need is navbar and the overlay menu and home component. So we're gonna start from the top level component, not top level component, like the top UI component, which will be navbar, and then we'll create the menu. So let's go ahead and create a component folder inside our source components. The first thing we're going to create is a file called navbar.tsx, and here I'm going to use this snippet that I use, which is RAFCE react arrow function component export, which will give me a boilerplate for the whole component. So now I have that, and now let's try to import the images here. But first, before we do that, let's create a styled component. So we import styled. As you can see, it's already there, style from style components, and this is how you set up a style component to style your React component. You go const, you can name it whatever you want. Since I'm gonna apply these styles to the navbar itself, so I'm gonna call it navbar wrapper equal to style.div. we're gonna treat it as a div and the template literal. So now what's gonna happen is I'm gonna copy this navbar wrapper and replace it with the div. So I'm gonna do my styling in here, like display, flex and everything, and all the styles that are inside this will get applied to whatever inside these two. So this is how the style component works. Now let's try to add a class to this so we can start styling this and start creating the UI. So first thing first, let's create a div with navbar. So this is like a shortcut, .navbar plus enter, that's the navbar. Inside this we need an image. The image that we're going to use inside this is the pizarria, this one, for our logo on our navbar. And in React we can simply not import images like this, we have to do them, we cannot do this. Like if you want to use pizarria, that's not the right approach, this wouldn't render the image. So what we have to do is we can call the image tag and we have to import that image. So import pizza logo from where? From the assets and pizarria. Now we're gonna get an error, which is a TypeScript error, which will be cannot find module asset pizarria JPEG or its corresponding type declaration, because we haven't told the TypeScript to treat this JPEG or how do you call it, JPG as a module, as an import module. So how to do that? Let's do this first. So we're gonna do pizza logo. So this pizza logo will get called here and then it will render. We can name it logo. Now see that the other error is gone. Now we only have this error. In order to get rid of the error, we need to tell TypeScript that you have to treat this photo as a module. In order to do that, we can create a new file inside source, module.d.ts. and this file is the one that is responsible to declare modules. Whatever we're gonna tell TypeScript, treat this as a module, treat that as a module. So we can do declare module, and we're gonna use the .jpg. Make sure you don't have any space between them, otherwise you will get an error. And you can see as soon as I did that, you can see this navbar is still red here, and as soon as I do this, this error is gone away. So now we may have other photos with, like we have JPG, JPEG, we might have PNG. There you go, we have a PNG as well, so we have to declare those as well. So I'm gonna copy this down, JPEG, PNG, Now we can import as many images as we want. So let's see how it's looking like from, let's see. Okay, this wouldn't do anything because we haven't called this component anywhere. So let's see if we can go to the app.tsx and call the navbar component here. Obviously the component is not rendering at the moment, so now it is rendering, and let's see. There you go, you can see the image already here. So that's how it works. Let's remove this for now. We'll just keep it here to have keep a track of our component. And we have the image now. Next thing we can do is I'm gonna style this image because that's the only thing we have on the header so far. So navbar, this is a class, so we are styling this class display flex. We're gonna give it a display flex, justify content center, line items center because our logo is in the center. And inside this we have the image, which we're gonna give a height because it's too big, so we're gonna give it 250 pixel, and let's see how that works. There you go, perfect, already in the center as we saw in our demo. So this is the image, that's the navbar done pretty much for now. And now let's go ahead and create another component which is called menu.tsx rafc here. So I'm gonna do the style components for menu as well. So we again gonna import styled from style component, and then we're gonna create a class wrapper here. So I'm gonna call it menu wrapper from style.div and the template literals. Now we can replace this with menu wrapper. So all these styles I'm gonna apply to this will be applied to whatever inside this. So inside this we are gonna import our JSON data first. So let's try to import the JSON data from the menu. Import menu. So what I'm doing is this is the file that contains our menu. We are now importing this in our menu component because that's where we are gonna display this data. So let's go menu from menu.json. So this holds everything that comes from the menu. So let's try to render that before we do this. So what I'm going to do is menu.map, because when you have an array, a list of data, we need to map it. So I'm going to use the data index for the, actually it's this. So let's wrap it inside a div, and we gonna get the pizza name as h1. So data dot, you can see now you have access to whatever inside that JSON file. So ID, name, price, image, category. So we don't really need to do index here. What we can do is we can give this data, we can give this a key here. So data.id, and this will be data.name. And let's hope that we are getting some names. We are again not rendering this component because we just declared a menu component and this is not being used anywhere. So now we have to call it inside our app component. So now you can see we have got the items from our menu are rendering already. So get back to the menu component. We have got the data. That was just for testing purposes. What we should do is we should provide it some type. Now I'm gonna declare an interface and provide the types to this data. As we can see, we are expecting this data and we have an ID as a number. We got a name, which is a string, a description also string, price, which is a number, and the remaining category and images, which are the string. So we're not going to focus on the category right now. Category we will be implementing it later, but it's already in the data, so we might just declare their types here. So how do we do that? We go interface pizza type, I'm gonna name it, and then make sure you have the same names as these. So I'm gonna get ID as a number, name as a string, description also as a string, price which is a number, and image which is also a string, the category which is also string. I'm just gonna also close the terminal. So now that we have these types, what we can do is we can provide these types to this. So now we know that we are expecting these things: ID as a number, the data name as the string which is a title. Let's try to do this again because we have to provide it a class. So this was just for testing purposes. What I'm gonna do is get rid of this. Let's do this again. So now we know that we have a JSON data over here. We are importing it as menu, and now we want to render that JSON data so our user can see it over here and interact with it, right? In order to do that, we're gonna use the map function. So what we're gonna do is menu.map, and then this map function which will take a parameter. So we can call this parameter whatever you like. We can call it data. I will call it pizza this time. So we're gonna provide it a TypeScript here as well. So type safety pizza types. So these are the types that we declare. We pass it to this the pizza element, and then now this knows that it's expecting data which has to be a number, name has to be a string, and all that. Once we have done that, and then we use the arrow function syntax, and then we just open it like this. So inside this, I'm gonna open a div, gonna name it class name, my bad, div class name. This will be menu container, and this div we can do is inside this div we will pass it a key, a list element. When you're rendering them, it will ask you for a key prop as well, otherwise you will get a console warning that each child of the map need a key prop. So in this case we will pass it a key. Now if we do pizza dot, so pizza dot has access to everything that we are gonna use to render. So pizza has access to ID. We're gonna pass the ID as a unique key prop because inside the JSON data each of this menu has a unique ID. So that goes there. Once we have that, we can now render the image. So first thing first, we're gonna render is an image. So image, again we're not gonna take source here, it's gonna come from pizza dot image. So if you know what I mean, there you go. Now you will have images of each pizza item here. The same way we're gonna get the name of the pizza and the description and the price. So over here we will create another class. I will name it the top info, and I'm gonna get the title as h1. We'll name the title pizza dot name, and after that we're gonna get a paragraph which will be a description for the pizza dot description. Wait, I do not have tag, sorry, my bad. Pizza dot description, and the last one is an h2 tag which we're gonna use for the price. So pizza dot price. So this is how it will look like at the moment. Same for each one of them. Now all we have to do is style them. So let's go ahead and try to style this. So in order to style this, I'm gonna select the menu container, which is like the main container of this. So before we do that, I'm gonna give a flex to the overall container, this menu wrapper. So I'm going to pass it a flex display flex and flex wrap. So what flex wrap does, when you are flexing in a row, this will go, all of these items now in a column, right? So they're coming down. So when you're flexing in a row, they go sideways, they go horizontally this way. So once they reach that width of the viewport, they will wrap, then they will come to the bottom. So wrap and then justify content center, background color, I'll give it a white color. So as you can see, this is moving to the center by justifying. After that, let's get the menu container. We'll give it a display flex and see if that's applying. There you go. Now you can see that I came to side. The next one is wrapping down. We'll give it a width of 40%, background color white again. Let's give it a margin of 20 pixels. Border radius is 20 pixels. So this is all gonna look like this until we provide the image a height or a width, a certain height or width. So let's just do that first, otherwise this would just keep on going like this. So since the image is inside this div, so we can call it over here within this menu container. So this is the beauty of style component. We can do this, and now give it a height of 200 pixels and a width of 200 pixels. Now let's see how it looks like. See, it's already started to look like our demo version. So that we have got here. Now we can continue making that menu container, this one. So this will have a box shadow which will be 1 pixel, 1 pixel, 10 pixel, -2 pixel, gray, and then cursor pointer. So we have a pointer here as soon as we hover over it. As you can see, this, the beauty of React is that I'm only creating this one component, and which is responsible to render all of this data like this multiple times. So it's just this line of code, menu wrapper. It's actually not even that. This div is what this one container is, and this data that we are passing it to is looping. So you can see it's rendering again and again. And let's go ahead, provide some more. Let's give it an, we will give it a transition all, just to give it some nice effect. Is in out, transform, scale. So this will decrease the size of it. So we will give it, so as you can see right now it's big. Now it will just shrink down a little bit. So I'm gonna do 0.9, 0.9. So as you can see, it just shrunk a little bit. Now I'm gonna give it a hover effect to bring it back to its normal size, so it will look nice when you hover over it. So how do we do that? To use the hover effect inside style component, you use the and operator and semicolon, and then just type hover, and that's how you do it. So we're going to change the box shadow color as well. So box shadow will stay the same. I'm going to copy this, just remove this, and I'll change this to red. And we're gonna change the scale as well. So transform scale 1. So as you can see, that's working, but the effect is not working. That transition should be working on this, but it's not working. So let's see what's wrong with that. All 0.3 is in out. Box shadow and transform is okay. Hover effect is working. Then why the transition not working? Okay, my bad, because I do not have seconds behind this. So as you can see, that's starting to look way better already. So now we can see that there is some UI errors that our images, and this is so close to that. So let's see how we can fix that. Now what we can do is we can move over to the next one, which is the top info, and let's also give image border top, which is this. So you can see this, we want to make it round as well, and this round as well, so it just blend in with that curve. So border top left radius, which should be as equal to the menu container, which is the 20 pixel. So 20 pixel. Now same bottom 20 pixel. So you can see nice curvy image there. The next thing we're gonna style is the top info. Top info. As you can see, I'm doing everything inside these curly braces because these are all falls under menu container div here. So the top info, we are gonna give it a width of 100% and margin left probably 10 pixels. See, it's coming right now. And padding right 10 pixels. So now that looks much better already. And inside top info we have got the H1 paragraph and H2. These three falls under the top info, so we're gonna style them within top info. So first thing first, H1, here we're gonna use the font family Roboto, so we copied them into the app.js. So here it is. I'm going to get this from here, delete this menu. I'm gonna give it a, so as you can see the font is like this. As soon as we provided this one, there you go, that changed. So this is how you can use Google font. So that font goes for that one. The paragraph is gonna need the pop-in, so I'm gonna have p tag here, and the first thing I'm gonna do is go to the app.tsx, copy this and remove it from here, and now come back to this. We'll see that how this will change as well. So we're gonna provide the font. There you go. Now we have changed the font to this, but we need to style a little bit more to this. Now we can see is if we inspect it, because we're gonna make it super responsive, right? So as we shrink our p tag paragraph tags, it wraps down, right? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna stop it to do that, and in order to do that we're gonna give it a max height 3em, and overflow will be hidden. Text overflow is so this does is, you can see that now that text is disappearing from there, and we get a little bit more responsiveness here. And you can see we're gonna use media query later on to make it more responsive, so don't worry. The CS part is the worst part. It takes a lot of time, guys. That's why I never do the CSS in my other videos. So this is like, that is done. Now we need to do the price. So I'm gonna get H2, and font size for this one will be 1.5 rem. 1 rem is equal to 16 pixel. So padding, we'll give the padding right 10 pixels, and this will take the font family. Actually we will give it Roboto, and I think I have made a mistake up there, sorry guys. That Roboto should be up here and this should be down there. So this should be Roboto and this should be popping, so it should be the other way around. Anyways, we have got that. Now we're gonna get the text line to the right, so the price moved to the right hand side. And now we're gonna make this better, because you can see that we give it a height, so it's shrinking the little bit. So probably gonna give it a, let's try to remove the height from there. Maybe we can 3.4. This is much better. Okay, we're not getting one image here, so there's something wrong here. Let's see what it is. We are not getting margarita because of the name. There we have it. Now that looks much better already. So let's try to make this responsive. So let's see. After this, we will use a media query to cover all the menu containers. So after the menu container, we will use, this is how you use media query when you're using the style component. You go add media, just max width, leave it here. Max width will be 1168 pixel that I'm doing for this one, and I'm gonna change the width of the menu container. So width, I'm gonna make it 100%, and margin 10 pixels. So let's see how that affects it. So once we touch that, so we are on 994 pixels. So as you can see, as soon as we touch 1168, we get a single line of block node rather than these two against each other. So we get this, which is actually make it more responsive, but I still have an issue with the image here, so I need to fix that. So my image is making some problem here, so let's try to make the image auto, and if we make it auto, that looks better. So it's just gonna take up the space automatically. And it's already looking much responsive. So we'll just leave the image as auto, and we should be fine with this one for now. Not using this, I'm gonna remove this. So we have that now. Now next thing we're gonna use is, we should add a filter here to filter these. So let's do that, and in order to do that, what I need to do is, I'm gonna come back to the navbar. Inside the navbar, we're gonna declare another array to actually render those items that we need. So what I'm going to do is, I'm gonna come up here, const. This is for adding that tag, so we can search it by chicken, vegetarian, or all. So const categories. I hope this is how you spell it. All chicken, vegetarian, meat, and make sure these names, the spellings of these matches these as well. So each category, like meat matches meat, vegetarian matches vegetarian inside your JSON file, and chicken matches the chicken. So that we have here. First we have the categories now, and then let's try to render the item with categories. So we have got the pizza logo here, and below this pizza logo, navbar will be navbar. I'm going to create another class which will be categories. Inside this, the tags, and the tags are coming for this one. So I'm also going to use these to output those tags. So div is going to have categories dot map. Again, we're using the map function. Category and let's use an h3. What will an h3 do? It will render the category, and let's see if we have that. So we have these categories now. We need to style them to bring it up here, but now we have the categories. So let's do one more thing. We might need a key prop because it will already be screaming for this, if I'm not wrong. Each child in list should have a unique key. Like I said before, when you are rendering list element, you need to have a key prop. So now what we can do to give this a key prop, key, you can also give it category as a key. So that's gone away. Now let's style that categories. So let's display flex, nothing, flex direction column. Let me just check if the class is applying the color to this. Yep, so yeah, got it. Line center. So now we have this in center and that will move away. So let's see how we can fix that. Tags. Font family, we will give it Poppins. Sans serif. With 50%. Display flex. With that came to the center. Now they are flexing. Justify content space around. So now you can see they are perfectly aligning properly. Now we just need to give them a background color or an active class. We will just pass it to. So what I will do is I will give them an active class that we will use later on when we click on this one. So when we click on chicken will be activated, the other one will be faded away, so that the user can know that he's currently on chicken. When he click on it, when he click on vegetarian, the user knows that he's on vegetarian. So active background color, let's just make it black. This is the active class, so it's not gonna work currently. Color will be white. So now let's style that h3 so it looks better. Color black, box shadow 0, 10, 15 pixels, RGB 0, 0, 0 and 20%, I guess. Which is very faded box shadow. So box sizing, border box, border radius, border radius will be 5 pixels. Let's give it a padding 5 pixel from top and bottom, 10 pixel from left and right. And we don't know what's happening right now, but we will know when we see the background color of it. So background color will be white, and cursor pointer, transition all 0.2 s Don't forget the second, otherwise it wouldn't work. Ease in and out. Now let's add an hover effect over this. So, and hover, background color is black or 000, and the color is white. So this is how it's gonna work. When we click on it, it's gonna stay, that selected category would stay like this. When we click on vegetarian, that will stay like this. Doesn't matter if you hover somewhere else. So let's see how responsive that is. That's really responsive. I like that. So we have to check if it's on phone. Let's see, S22 Ultra works fine. iPhone 12 Pro works perfectly fine. Now let's get this thing working. So when we are clicking on chicken, it should show chicken only, vegetarian should show vegetarian only, and meat should show beef and lamb only. So when click on all, then all the pizza should be visible. So in order to do that, we have to come to the parent component, which is the which should not be app, but we will make another one here. New file, I will name it home.tsx rfce. Nothing much to do in this one. What we're gonna do is we're gonna call our navbar component in this, and our menu component as well. So, and now inside this one we can delete these two, and we can simply call that home component inside this. So our app should still be working fine, as you can see. The reason why I did that, because we now need to do something in the home component, and if we did that in app component, there will be another top level component. So it's better to do this in one component file folder. So inside the home, now we're gonna use a use state from React. So now this will be used. Let's go ahead and create a use state. Const selected category set selected category, which is equal to react.use state. You can write like this, or you can just simply do use state and import it here, use state. And then inside this we're gonna do all. So why all? Because by default, when the component mount, when the user first comes to this page, he will see all the pizza. So whatever value you will pass here, that will be rendered by default. If we pass it chicken here, when the user first run this application, you will see chicken pizzas only. Now let's go ahead and create a function that will handle the categories. So const handle, always try to keep your name relevant to what you're doing. So handle selected category, and this is an arrow function. This takes category as a parameter, which is string, obviously because we are in TypeScript. Now this one, we get this set selected category, and then we set it as category. So whatever we're gonna click on, so what's gonna happen is now we're gonna come to navbar. When we pass this to here, we're gonna click on something from here, vegetarian, that's gonna get passed to this category, that's gonna come here, and that's gonna go here, this is gonna go here, and then this will change that to that, right? So with that, we are going to pass the navbar these two things. So navbar is gonna have on change category prop, which will take this function, and navbar will also have, now we are passing the prop selected category, and it will take this selected category as a prop. I'm keeping the name same, but you can keep the name different. So what is this? This is what we have to define in navbar. So navbar is taking this as a prop, and navbar also taking this as a prop, because we're passing this function to navbar, and now navbar can access this by using this, and selected category is also getting passed to navbar as a prop, and then it can access it like this. So when you come to the navbar function, inside the navbar function we need to declare an interface, obviously, because we are dealing with TypeScript. If you were using JavaScript, you would just use this selected categories, but we can't do that. We are in TypeScript. We have to even provide the types of the props we are expecting. So I'm gonna come up here and declare an interface, filter data, and inside this we now need to do is what we are passing here. So what I'm going to do here is, now we are getting on change category as a prop, which is a function. So how do you define a functions type? Like this, you do this, semicolon, category, which is taking category as a prop, which is a type string, and this is a void function which returns nothing. So that's the type for this function. And now selected category, which is a type string, because it's gonna select something from these four. So that's done. Now we need to tell React that now it is a functional component which is taking props. So in order to do that, you come after your component name, semicolon, react.fc means React functional component, and then it takes these as a prop. So filter data as a prop, and now these two values are gonna come here on change category and selected category. So if you were doing JavaScript, what would you do? You would simply pass this here and this here, just like this. You didn't have to do all of this, and then if there was some error, then good luck finding that, because now TypeScript would just tell me straight up what are the errors and everything in compile time. So now these are not used currently. So what we can do is, we have passed the props. I can see the warning is gone from here. It's all clear. The props have been passed. Never now need to use those props. So how are we going to use those props in navbar? Let's see how we can do that. So where we have categories are over here. Categories are being wrapped here, and where we have h3, now we're going to provide an on-click event to h3. So let's do this. So h3 has a key prop. Now h3 is gonna have an on-click event, because we're gonna click on this, and then it's gonna get an arrow function on change category, which will take category as a prop. So that comes from these. So selected category is not used currently, but let's see. So obviously, because we need to pass this category to this menu function so it can display that data. So now we will also pass it a class name dynamically. So when we have selected category is equal to the category that have been selected, then render the active class. This is the ternary operator, else nothing. So that should work now. See, vegetarian, chicken, all, meat, it just stays there. Even if I hover away from it, it stays there. So that's all happening with this class. This class conditionally set up active class to this. So when the category is active, it will set up the active class, otherwise it will remove it. So now that's done. So this is working now. What else we have to do in order to actually make this? When I'm clicking on chicken, why I'm not seeing chicken pizzas only? Because we now just passed it to the navbar, but now the data that we're seeing here, this data is coming from menu, so we need to pass it to that as well. So what are we going to do? We're going to pass the selected category again. We'll pretty much this to this, and now we need to come to the menu. And now let's see the props for this one. We need to create another interface here. Interface category selected category as string. And now again we need to make this as a functional component, just like the one we did before. React functional component, pass it the category, and then pass it that prop, selected category prop. Let's do the filter up here. So filter the menu based on the selected, filter the menu based on selected category. And what we can do here is const filter menu is equal to selected category, and if this is equal to all, then display menu, which is this whole data. If it's not, then we do menu dot filter, which is a JavaScript function, and then we're gonna get pizza pizzas dot category is equal to selected category. And now we're gonna get this filtered menu. Let's close this. We can see that it's working fine. The props is not crying anymore. So now we have an error here that the filter menu is used but its value is never used. Data is coming from the menu.json file. This is all we're seeing. Now what's gonna happen, we're gonna change this with the filtered menu. So now the data is only comes via this function, this filtered menu function. So now as you can see, all is all, chicken, vegetarian, meat. So it's working perfectly fine, as you can see. So if you refresh the page, by default it will always be on all the pizzas are here. But if you click on chicken, you will only see chicken. Vegetarian, then you will see vegetarian option. Meat, you will see meat option. So there's another thing if you can do by default. If you go to navbar and where we declare that, no sorry, in the menu or the home where we have this, if you change this to meat, this use state, now by default you will always see meat. Even if you refresh it, you will always see meat. So this is the default value here. All so that's it for now. We have got it. It's working perfectly fine. Inspect. So meat, vegetarian, let's see on the small one, chicken, vegetarian, all meat. There you go. Now it's working perfectly fine. I just noticed that in our demo version you can see there's a box shadow effect on it, and in our one we don't have it. So let's go and have a look at it. Oh, we were already there, navbar. So this is H3. So we need the pixels here, and there we have it. Alright guys, this is it for this part. Thank you so much for sticking up till the last, and in the next part we will create this implementation. So this is the demo version that I already created. In our one we don't have that, and as you can see the click doesn't work. So in the next one what we will do, we will make the menu clickable, the pizza clickable. So we have this pop-up and then you have this implementation, and we will also see how we can add it to the cart. So that's for the next part, because this part is getting longer, and then we will see how we can increase the item and the price, because right now it doesn't do anything. So this is just a demo version to show, but in the next part create this overlay effect and how we can actually make each item clickable. So you can see it comes with the proper description as well. And so this is what our ad looks like. Thank you so much for watching these videos, guys, and sticking up till the end.